Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Ears to the East, where today we're going to be talking about ooh, la 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 Protect You, the new song by Band-Maid. So we know it's a theme tune. We talked about this briefly when we had the preview of it back in I think it was like November of last year. It was like ages ago we got the first preview of this. And finally we got the song. And yeah, we've heard the whole thing. It premiered, and obviously we're also in a very different place, I think, with Band-Maid from where we were a few months ago. There's been a lot of developments with them. Um, so well, first things first, what did you I know Neon, I know you've done a reaction video to it already, Benedict. I don't know if you've already done
I did
yours
too.
yet. You did?
Yeah.
I haven't seen yours. Okay, apologies. So in that case, just get a first idea. What did you both think of this one?
I'll let Benedict take this one
Okay.
first.
I really like this one a lot. It's kind of a typical Band-Maid song from their later era, I would say, but that's exactly the Band-Maid that I love the most. So naturally, I love it a lot. It's yeah. Immediately, everyone has that ooh la 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 part in their head. Really catchy, really energetic stuff. I mean, they're all on fire. What else can you say? I like it a lot. Cannot lie. Yeah.
Were you we heard the ooh la 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 in the preview that originally came out. Were you surprised that it
Haven't seen
only
that.
really okay, so we heard the preview bit that was going to be played when the anime had its first so I guess this question doesn't apply, or maybe I'll question this a little bit more towards Neon then, but we heard that in the original preview. And
Did we?
I think yeah, okay, all right, I'm the only person who remembers that we listened to the preview. Okay. Forget the question. All right, carry on, guys.
I mean, we know that ooh la 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 part also from from another song, which is Influencer. They have kind of
Yeah,
a very
well,
similar part in it. But I mean, it's really catchy. It works. Why not? And it's
both
also a
songs
bit
have a
changed.
hook. Both songs have a hook, I mean, that to be, I think that's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, so I think that they do. Whereas I don't think they have so much the big catchy choruses. They do like to throw in those little sing along hook bits that you can sing along to. Those ooh la 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 bits, things like that. So this is definitely, I think, a song that would play well live.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's like you said, these parts are just the beginning and the end of the song. I mean, I don't think it's anywhere in between in the song. So
Well, yeah,
yeah, but still
that
makes it very catchy and memorable, I would say.
not the acoustic song memorable, but no. So I mean, I was kind of intrigued. I guess the question I was going to ask is, but this doesn't really apply to you guys, but I was going to ask about whether, because we heard that ooh la 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 bit in the original preview, it sounded like that was going to be, I guess, like Influencer, something that came up in each of the choruses. And so when the song started and it started with that, I was like, okay, we're getting the hook in early, and I was expecting it to come up each time the chorus came around. And my first reaction was somewhat reshaped by suddenly realizing, oh no, that's not actually the chorus. That's just a refrain that appears once at the well, I mean, it isn't even part of the chorus. It's just a refrain that appears once at the beginning, once at the end. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting touch to really space it out. So it's the beginning and it's the reward you get at the end. It's that final bit where you blast out. You know you're building up, and at the end the crescendo is everyone's like, here comes the end, here comes the end. Ooh, la, 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 la. And you can just imagine him playing that live and just keeping that end bit going that extra little bit longer. And yeah, so I thought it was
I
interesting how
mean,
they
it's
used that.
really energetic. I said in my reaction, this is kind of the rock equivalent to a blast beat section in metal.
Is blast beat, is that a term for when like the kick drums go mad, that kind of thing?
It's a certain type of beat. Someone even said in my comments, but I have to disappoint you, it's not a blast beat. It's a kind of an offbeat thing. I cannot describe it, but
Okay.
yeah.
Is it just like sort of like quad time playing, like kick snare, kick snare, like really fast, something like that? Okay.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not a drummer, but yeah.
I just know when I hear it. I
Yeah,
cannot
well, I
paint,
can
but I
tell you
know
that in
fine
this one,
art.
it's exactly on the beat, so it's not a blast beat.
Okay, fair enough. So what you're saying is that this song doesn't have a thing that I've never even heard of. Awesome. Great update. Cheers for that, Benedict.
It was meant as a compliment.
Okay. It's a compliment that I don't understand.
No, but like this song really showcases like how energetic Band-Maid's style of music is. And it's not something in my opinion, that's very common for rock groups, which is that intensity and that energy they bring.
I did like that aspect. I think that although there were a couple of songs on Unseen World, for example, where I think that was the if we take Screaming Out the Picture, I think Unseen World was the first time we really heard Band-Maid at this level of like, that sort of hyper intensity that's become like their
Yeah.
calling card ever since then. I mean, they haven't had a full length album since then, but they've had a lot of activity. But I think whereas Unseen World, there was a couple of songs where it maybe sounded a little bit cluttered, but as a general, it was pretty good. This did not sound cluttered for me. This all really sounded like all the intensity, all the details worked well alongside each other. But I mean, there are some people who, as a general, that sound a la Screaming and especially Unseen World, there's a lot of people who, ever since that sound's come on the scene with Band-Maid, have been like, well, I don't like since Band-Maid have been like this. I wish they'd go back to like the world domination sound. And I don't know, I love World Domination. It's a great album, but I think as a general, it has less identity than their more recent stuff. I think their more recent stuff is more discernibly that could only be Band-Maid, whereas World Domination, it is still very much Band-Maid, but yeah, it's not quite got as much of a hey, that could only be them feel.
Not sure if I would say, like, if I would agree that it has less identity, I would just say it has a different identity.
Yeah, when I say I don't really mean less identity. I don't know if I actually used that wording exactly, and apologies if I did. I mean it's like it's not got an identity that is so clearly unique. Like, I mean, the sound that they've got now is very much like, oh, okay, I don't really know any other bands who sound like that. Whereas World Domination, it is a little bit more straight rock. So, I think there are some people who feel like maybe the sound has become a little bit too, you hear people complain about the lead guitar sound and everything. But I don't know, just when I hear stuff like this, I think it sounds really balanced. And I listen to it and I think, no, it's all that activity, all that hectic busyness, it is sitting really well in songs like this.
I would agree it works better than some songs like maybe Giovanni or Black Hole from Unseen World, which are like really chaotic and works. It feels more coherent than that. I don't know. Maybe Neon, you can let us know your thoughts about the new Band-Maid style, or which do you prefer, the newer releases, the later releases? Because I also heard a couple of comments from people who say they feel like their newer stuff feels kind of samey, like a lot of songs sound similar. So, what do you think about that?
Okay, Jesus Christ, there's a lot to dissect there. I feel like they are a little bit samey, but I feel like Band-Maid have kind of like fallen on a little bit of a formula here, which is successful. I also feel like the market that they're trying to break at the minute as well, which is, the big old US of A. I feel like when you're trying to break into a certain particular market and you have a sound that works, it does not tend to go too well when you're trying to get one foot down in a certain country or place or audience to go and start changing your sound a little bit. That tends to put more people off than it does to that when you found the sound that people are enjoying at the minute. I feel like this is a period in Band-Maid that we've never had before, where I feel like we're gonna have maybe 2-3 years of just a sustained sound, and I feel like that's more in a conscious effort for mass audience appeal rather than them stagnating or maybe hitting a wall or anything what these people claim that they're doing. I feel like they've just got their toes in many different things at the minute, and it benefits them to keep the sound the same. With that being said, I do feel like the creativity in this song, although the sound is the same, the way, for me, my biggest takeaway of this song is the way the instrument is the bridge for this song, to take a leaf out of Howard's book, is the stop gaps before it starts, the structure. I liked how each verse, although the same rhythmically, instrument wise, is completely different. There's not a repeat of the same thing, apart from when you get to the da 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 da, which by its very nature is supposed to be repetitive, because that's the hook, that's what it's there to do.
The refrain, yeah.
So for me, the biggest takeaway from this was just the craftsmanship of the girl's songwriting ability really shines for me personally for this one. But I could see why people might say that they are the samey, but I also think in the entirety of Band-Maid's career, they've always evolved. Their sound has always changed, and I think people are used to that. So because we've had a sustained period, which is, let's be honest, has not been that long. I would say, what, 2 years now, maybe bordering on 3 years, where we've had a little bit of sustained, prolonged, but that's because they're doing other things. I firmly believe that's because they're trying to crack the US at the minute. They've had a lot of more tours than they would usually do, a lot more festivals, doing a lot more work in that way, and they've, the sound, maybe they haven't had a chance to evolve the sound as much as they would do prior. But I disagree with what people say about that. It's too samey. I feel like there's enough there that kind of shows that Band-Maid are evolving, but maybe not as much as people would like. But the craftsmanship and the musicianship from the girls here is for me has definitely bumped up. Even if the music itself maybe hasn't evolved to what people want, the craftsmanship of the song is absolutely incredible.
But I think that's an important point. It's not sometimes evolvement. It just turns certain people off because it's not what they want. It's not what they like. It's natural that if you evolve your sound to something different, you will probably lose some people and win other people.
Yeah. I can hear Howard's brainwaves like slowly clicking
Yeah.
away as counter arguments are
The
incoming.
stoic face.
Well, no, I think it's an interesting point. I think like a lot of what you said there's completely on the money, and obviously people have different opinions. I think really, I think there's the kind of 3 points that really need to be addressed, which is, first of all, obviously this is a single, and Band-Maid, like a lot of bands, do have a certain sound that tends to come up in their singles. Not all of them, because obviously they have some songs that are really out there, but they have certain singles. If you were to just look at songs like, my personal favorite, Bubble, I keep on mentioning that, but then you take things like Dice, Domination, Shambles, this song, there is a certain sort of hard rock sound, a certain song length structure, certain chord patterns, chorus styles that do come up in a lot of their singles. But they're singles. Those are the songs that clearly they feel are the ones that they throw forward. So I don't so much mind when a band's singles tend to be quite similar. But the thing to add to that is, although that Band-Maid do have that particular style of single, the second thing to add is, I think more so than virtually any of their peers, they've earned the right to do that, because between all these songs, you'll get the out there stuff. I mean, it's not that long ago we had Memorable, the acoustic single. We have Acoustic Section. You have About Us, which is a really spaced out song. Conqueror started with the song Page, and that wasn't the only ballad on there, and that was quite a sort of a poppy ballad. Start Over was technically a single. They might position these songs slightly, not necessarily on the albums, not, which I think would be nicer if there was more albums like Conqueror where they put these crazy ideas in, but they do these out there songs. They do them confidently. They're not B-sides. They're out there. They're put out into the world. And I think by doing that, they earn the right to have a certain sound that they like to come back to. Because if we know that you can do other things, but you keep on coming back to this sound, then obviously you come back to this sound because that's kind of where you feel comfortable. That's your preferred sound, but you've earned that right by going to other places. And I think the other thing to mention as well, and this is something that I think sometimes rubs fans up the wrong way, but it's important to not take this the wrong way, is that bands are naturally going to hit a certain plateau at a point. Doesn't mean they're not developing. It means like in a certain point in their career, everything's going to be very high rate of development because you look at Just Bring It, they're just starting to write. World Domination is like, okay, now we this is our next album. We've really taken over the reins. Then Conqueror, okay, well let's do something a bit different. And then you get onto Unseen World, and it's like, well, okay, now we're going to develop a bit more of a, we've had our fun experimentations. Let's get our core sound together. And each album you can kind of imagine, you don't know, but you can imagine the thought process. But I feel like they've done such experimental albums. They've done so many things that, there's more that they can do, but they've covered so many bases that, we are at the point where there's going to be a certain plateauing where we're going to really now be and they're going to be very aware with the sound that they like the most. We're going to get used to it. And there is going to be a certain plateauing, which doesn't preclude them from experimentation. It just means that they found that comfortable place. And the problem is that if people heard them on World Domination and they were like, that's the sound that I love you for, that's the sound that you're going to keep on doing, then now when they've got this sound, which is not hugely different, but it's marginally different, they're going to hear those things and go, oh, come back to World Domination. That's where I loved you. But the truth is that no, that was the step to here. And this, I feel, is where they really want to be because, yes, they have kept this particular, I don't want to make it sound like it's such a stereotypical thing, but the tone that we've had ever since Unseen World has been the most stable that it's ever been in their career, I would say, sonically. And so I can't help but feel that that's where they want to be. They like this sound. They're still experimenting, but you're going to have that core sound seems to be the one there, and they're not going to regress. They might have songs that sound a bit like World Domination, but they're not going to regress to that because I feel that in their minds, they've moved from that in an upwards direction.
They have enough credit in the bank, I think, that over the years now built up enough goodwill that they have the right if they want to be a little bit samey. And I just think there's a difference between sounding samey and the song being just bad or worse, which they're not. It's still a really, really good song. I feel like it's a really weird debate because I feel like if people are complaining that it sounds too samey because they want that next hit, that next evolution, like maybe too soon or perhaps before the girls even know what they're doing. I don't really know what to say to that. I just feel like that's a really weak excuse to have. I
think it's a mixture of that, and I think some people maybe want them to regress back out of, because I heard some people say, I keep on hearing people talk about the lead guitar sound, the very sort of hectic sounding, like high-pitched lead guitar sound they use a lot now. And I've heard a few people say they don't like that and they'd like that to go away. But I'm like, no, I think they've adopted that permanently because they like that.
I think it's sometimes people focus on elements like that. And if another song has that element as well, then it's samey sounding for them. But
yeah.
I wanted to agree with what Neo and what you said before, that I'm kind of struggling to understand why people even think, or like even Howard, you said before, like where they are now, that this is their core sound. But like, how do you make that assumption? Because like Neon said, like this phase they are in now, they didn't have like huge amount of releases. They have Unseen World and they had
because
the EP, what's it called?
Unleash,
Unleash,
No,
and
again,
those I would say they have kind of a similar style, but
they are very
wait
close
for the
to each
next
other as
album.
well.
If that sounds like that also, then I would say, okay, maybe we are at the stadium. It's their core sound, but right now, 2 releases. Let's wait a bit and see.
Yeah, and again, I think you're maybe, and this is something that I perhaps should clarify because I don't want anyone to do this, is to assume that what I'm saying, I'm not making an objective statement. I'm trying to make an observation about something that people have observed as a pattern. And it could be. I mean, you look at it, Unseen World.
I'm like wondering why it's already a pattern after 2 releases,
Well, that I'll get to you. Because like Unseen World and Unleashed, yes, they were quite close to each other. I do get that. I mean, I still say the sound that a lot of people are referring to, I think started with Screaming. I really do. And I think that's where it started. Remember when Screaming came out, people loved that. It wasn't really meant as a single, but it was a fan favorite. Got played a lot. And then Unleashed basically sounded like we're going to make that into an album, which was cool. I'm sure it was more thinking than that, but you get my point.
I love that album, by the way.
Yeah, and a lot of people do, and I completely understand why. And then I think people were a little bit surprised when sorry, not just Hate, but when Unseen World, and then Unleash continued that sound. Sorry. And then, okay, so we haven't had a lot since then, but the little dribs and drabs we have had, you know, things like this song, and like we have with Shambles, you basically get the feeling.
But
okay,
we also had Bestie, for example. I mean, a color,
yeah,
but sounded
yeah,
very different.
we don't count Bestie in that. Bestie's a bit of a weird anomaly.
Still a
Bestie,
Band-Maid song.
Yeah, but Bestie, I mean, let's face it, the only thing unband-made about it, I know some people, if they know Incubus Cell, it really sounds like it's chord patterns. Basically, if you don't know him, the only thing you seem to notice is the song is less hectic. Which, to be honest, seems to be like that seems to be his contribution, is taking a lot of the hectic out. I know we've had, like, you know, some people don't like that we've mentioned this. I don't hate the song, I'm just not a fan of it. And so, you know, when we're looking at the songs that Band-Maid have constructed by themselves, it seems that they are into this hectic sound, and I'm okay for that. But we don't know that's true. But considering they've been developing, and, you know, Unseen World did come out quite a few years ago now, and they're still releasing singles that sound like they belong on Unseen World, which I've got no problem with. That sounds to me like a band who they're quite a few years on from Unseen World, but they're still enjoying doing that sound. That sounds to me like, yeah, that's probably a sound that they've decided when it comes to hard rock, that's the sound they want to go for. Yeah. We don't know that. None of us know that. Yeah. It's just that seems where the evidence.
I feel like Benedict did pick out a good point where he said, look, we haven't had a lot of releases as well. I feel like a lot of the perception of they stuck in the same sound for a long time now is just because of various different things. It's a larger stretch than we've ever had from them, you know, with new material. And I know these EPs, we don't know how long these songs have been in the back burner as well. This could literally be they've had this song for 6 months, 8 months in the bank, and then they just thought, fuck it, let's release this as a single. Or maybe that was always the plan. We don't know that, you know, so we can't assume. Howard knows, working in the music industry, you don't always release the music in order. Sometimes you can hold on to something for years, sometimes months on end. Sometimes they would, you know, there could have even been the possibility that they recorded this with the last album and it's just been kept by the record company because they knew what they were going to do 6 months, 8 months, 10 months down the line. You know, all these things happen in the background, which we don't see as the public. We just think, oh, it's a new song, like they made it last week, which is no, that could not be the case. So well, I think
just to quickly add, obviously we heard the first previews of this. I think it was at the end of last year, and as you mentioned, I mean, especially because it was for an anime, as you say, it could have been like they got a request to an anime. They're like, well, there's a song we kind of half writ like a year or two ago. Let's finish that one off. So yeah.
So like, yeah, again, so we don't know how long this has been in the back burner as well, or how long it's been around for. So if like I said, if this is the preview is what Howard said, then you got to assume that this is probably one of the songs that probably didn't make it onto last album. That was just there on the cutting room floor. Like, again, who the fuck knows? All we know is from the previews that this song's been there for a while, so we know that it's going to be pre-recorded. Like I said before, their focus has definitely been elsewhere than on writing material as of right now.
Well, we got a new album coming up this year, so we'll find out either way.
We'll find out either way.
Answers coming.
Answers coming. So I feel like people turn around saying that it's too samey and stuff like that. I feel like wait. I don't feel like that's a valid criticism yet. Let's wait until we hear the new album, and then you can kind of maybe start making those accusations or those calls. But
I think there is a subjective element in the same way that we say that people have a right to like whatever they like. I think also people have a different threshold for what they regard as samey. I mean, like, you do get some people, and I mean, I accept them, even though I don't completely understand them. You get some people who only ever listen to one genre. I mean, when you look at metal and the fact there's like a billion subgenres of metal, when I think even metal is not always easy to complete. I think there's gray areas between metal and hard rock that are not always clear. But there's some people, they only listen to metal and they know every single subgenre of metal and they can tell you what it is. And I think that's when, if you only focus on one genre, then you're hypersensitive to tiny changes. And so, you know, I think we could be looking at something here where, because Band-Maid as a general are quite varied, you know, their music is very varied, the changes they have between their songs might be quite subtle, and maybe a lot of their fans don't. Yeah, well, and yeah, it's not, this is not a good or a bad thing. I think some people might just not be as much into the subtleties. They might just hear, as Benedict mentioned, oh, there's that sound again, and rather than looking at the whole song, it's like, oh, I don't like that guitar sound, they've done it again, so this song sounds the same as the last, when in actuality there's a lot of things different about it. But that's completely valid. I mean, if you don't like one sound, then it could ruin the whole song for you. I mean, and this is just us being anecdotal a bit here, but it's.
I also think as well, I think Band-Maid have hit that height of fame where they were so kind of like unique at one point that everybody who listened to them were all loving it. And I feel like they've been around for a long time now, but so popular that there's maybe like a few people like maybe like negativity have come onto the scene and into the communities. And it only takes one person to turn around and go, well, this sounds a bit samey. And then one person latches onto that, another person latches onto that. And then before you know it, all you see is lots of people going, oh, it sounds a bit like the same. Whereas if it was 2 years ago and this song maybe came out, everybody would be buzzing and like there would be a good feeling to it. So I feel like the internet sometimes can be part of the problem.
I just want to add, sorry, but I just want to add that works, as we both know,
both ways. Yeah,
we know. You get to some people who are like, you know, someone goes, well, actually, I wasn't so keen on this latest song, and there'll be people like, we are not a real Band-Maid fan anymore. It's like you can't hang over. It's like, oh, it's people just haters. It's like, no, I just didn't like that song as much. It's like, yeah, that's cool. You know, I don't hate the band just because like they released a song that I wasn't that into. You know, so you get that. I mean, you also get the people who are just like, well, I'm going to be the edgelord, and like, well, this song, God, you know, they've lost their edge, and I know because I've been a fan forever. So yeah, you get swats on both sides.
You get both sides. Yeah, it can be the extremes on both sides. Like you said, if you're a staunch defender of a band or a movie or a thing that you like, and you can't see the flaws within that thing that you absolutely love, then what's the point of being a fan? Because you should be able to criticize the thing that you love instead of just looking at it like it's the most superior thing in the world without ever taking criticism or seeing different points of views. Personally, I know everybody, you know, might not see it that way, but I've always been a firm believer in that way. You know, there's many things I love, many bands that I love. Again, probably going off track here a little bit, but one of my favorite bands of all time, I know, is Trivium. Love Trivium so much, but I was sickeningly saddened to see the difference between when Ascendancy came out to when they brought out the Crusade, and that was such a different sound for them that it actually put me off Trivium for a little bit until they released Shogun, that came out after that. I was like, oh, there we go, they're back. So
I'm just looking at Benedict to make sure he's understanding what we're talking about.
I haven't heard this album actually, but I know Trivium.
Okay, carry on.
So even about it's one of those where, like, you know, we're complaining that, or people have been complaining that they sound too samey. Band-Maid going full circle, but sometimes if you train into your sound too much, too drastically, you can actually do more damage than good. So it needs to be a natural progression, but you can't rush the band as well at the same time.
I think intention comes down to all of this in the same way with the fans. You can often, hopefully, and it's important to tell the intention of whether a fan is really thinking about objectively or subjectively, do I like each song, or are they just trying to be a fucking edgelord, or they're just trying to be like, oh, I'm the ultimate fan. You know, you can tell whether someone's got good intentions. But by the same token, when a band does a song that you don't expect, or they do a song that you think is too samey, the question is do you really know the intention behind that? Again, you can like or dislike whatever you want, but you know, if the band does something that you don't like because you think it's too poppy, that's not them selling out. It could just be because, you know, they felt like doing it. If a band does a song that you think is too samey, it could just be because they like that sound and they think they found a new way of interpreting it and they're really honing it. So it's too easy to rush to conclusions about those things.
Also, what I want to say as well is we don't know the role and what Pony Cannon plays in this, because we don't know whether or not they've turned around to Band-Maid and gone, look, we need a poppy, hooky, summery song that can get on. We can get in on as many radio channels or whatever,
That's what I want to say the whole time.
much as we can. Yeah, like we have no idea. They might be, because they are pushing hard. They are pushing Band-Maid hard in the US. We all know this. We can all see it.
Probably not the best idea to like to make conclusions from a release like this that
Yeah.
was meant for an anime, you know, because there are
Also that as
certainly
well.
some kind of requirements for that. And I would imagine I wouldn't expect a song like Page for like an anime outro. I don't know the anime, but yeah, typically it's a very energetic style. So I was expecting it.
I can't remember I think we discussed this on Ears to the East again when the original one, but I think there is a balance where in a lot of the time people have this thing where they think, oh, when you do an anime theme tune, you must do what the anime theme tune people tell you to do. And that's not true. I'm sure there are examples of that. But it's I keep on hearing this. People are like, oh, this one was an anime theme tune, so of course it wasn't the way the band wanted it, it was the way they were told to do it. I think there are examples of that, but I think it's like any of these things, it's a business negotiation. If the band is already big, then the anime are not going to force them to, they're not going to want to upset them. They're going to be like, look, this band
will probably choose a group
that
that does a style that they want.
Exactly.
Obviously.
They probably picked a band. I mean, so probably a most in a lot of cases would be like, just don't do anything that's like really shockingly out of kind to be a band.
That's what I mean. Then, there's some kind of requirement.
Yeah.
What
like,
most
don't do a ballad or something like that.
Yeah.
What most companies do for animes as well is like these anime companies, like they're usually under the same logo or the same company or whatever in the long term run. Like Sony, you could say like all the different branches companies. But what happens sometimes is like the anime get like if there's like 15 bands all doing new songs or new albums that are like in the recording process, like they'll have executives and all that in and around them. They go, oh, that song is good, you know, like 6 months before the public even hear it, and they'll go, we want that one for the anime, and then, you know, they'll get things like that, and then you'll hear it on the anime first, or they'll release it as a track for the anime like way before, like
but this is why I think your earlier comment, I mean, we don't know, this is probably not true, but this is why I think your earlier comment could be true in the, you know, like if they suddenly said, look, we have this anime company, they got a series, they want you to do a theme tune, they kind of want it to be in line with like the normal Band-Maid sound, and then like they look at each other and Konami's like, well, look, I half wrote this song that we nearly put on Unleashed, but I never finished it. And it's like, and so they'll be like, oh, let's finish that one. It's like we're touring at the moment, we haven't got time. Let's finish that one. That one that had little ooh la 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 bit. Let's build that up, flesh it out, make a song out of that. And so it could well be this. This is why what you said originally, I think, really rang true to me. Is it could well be this was a half-finished idea, and so just they got a contract through, and they were like, well, let's finish that one because it was already on the lines, and we know it was going in the direction that it will sound like a Band-Maid song. So yeah, it could be any number of things, but
and that's an Ears to the East theory.
Ears to the East says we know nothing, and neither do you.
You've been watching this video for 40 minutes, and we have discovered nothing.
I love the idea.
One single bit of information.
I love the idea. We are the only podcast where you come out literally stupider than when you walked in. It's like, you know less than you even realize.
We're going to sprinkle all these possibilities, but do we know what any of them are? No, we do not.
Well, do we have a release date for the new album? So we have at least one info here.
At time, I mean, we're now over halfway through the year. So, I mean, it could just suddenly occur. But at time of recording this, unless it suddenly appears before this gets published, which this should probably come out in the next couple of days. With the 3 we recorded today, should be the first one.
Album comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean,
that will be what happens.
Watch it.
To be honest, actually, it's not the Japanese way of doing it. I don't expect it, but there were some really good examples of like in the last couple of decades of albums being released with no warning and that causing a massive social media stir. I don't know if Band-Maid are quite big enough to do that yet, but it would be kind of interesting. But yeah, it's not really Japanese way. But the thing is, unless we suddenly get an announcement, they haven't yet announced it, so I imagine we'll get an announcement soon because they said it's coming out this year, and they usually, you know, Japanese albums, they usually give you the date long in advance to build up hype. You know, it tends not
Do
to
you
be
think they will
sudden.
release another single? Because so far, I'm not even sure if Bestie and Protect You will be on that album.
Someone who had been following the social media more did actually give me an opinion on this, and I hate to say I've forgotten. I believe Bestie, there is good reason to believe that is on the album, and I think as well there is good reason to believe Protect You is on the album as well. As for the track with the warning, I don't think we have been given any conclusion, but I can't help but feel that
Would
that
make
will
sense.
probably be on there.
I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot that was a thing.
We did a
Hey,
video.
you're the one who's the warning fan here, dude.
I know. I actually just got tickets actually to see the warning. Going to see them and Bradir as well. So
Oh,
yeah, I got a
by the
fun,
way,
a fun year
when
coming up.
as you guys have been flexing about your Love Bites gigs recently, I just want to give a big shout out to the fact that big thank you to my supporters. On Sunday, I'll be seeing Band-Maid at the last of their arena hall
Fuck
tour
you.
shows in Yokohama, and the very next day, on Monday, I'll be seeing Neki live very close to my house. So I got Band-Maid and Neki one after the other. There you go. So just after all these episodes of me watching as you guys were flexing about Love Bites, I'm finally getting back onto the reins and go see a show myself. So
And with that, guys, don't forget to subscribe to me and Benedict and unsubscribe
Yeah,
from Bash.
exactly. Because Howard doesn't even bother about great bands like Polyphia.
Oh no, let's not get into that. I don't think Neon even knows about that yet. So I don't think we should.
He went to
I don't think we-
Foxfest and he went to every single group except Polyphia.
How can you go and not
Yeah,
like
how?
just enjoy
Exactly, that's my
Polyphia?
question. That's why I'm
For someone that
rubbing it
preaches
in
how they
every
love
video.
technical guitar and like really good music and stuff, I would have thought that you would have given that a
Right.
chance at least.
I listened to a little bit before on the way up there. Wasn't really so much my thing.
What was it? Because is it
I
because
was
they're blokes,
hungry.
Howard?
I was not my. It was. I was
With
hungry.
not mysterious white liquids all over their faces.
I just realized we're posting this video before those videos where that
Oh.
joke all
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
So people are not going to understand.
Not
this
gonna know
joke.
the context of that.
Don't watch the following
The
videos.
problem is they're going to assume they do know the context, which is going to make this look much worse than it should. If this video gets more views than those
Can
ones,
be
which it
worse than
probably
it
will,
actually is.
yeah. But yeah, basically, I was coming out of the toilet. This is not sounding any better than I think about it. But I was coming out of the toilet. I was hungry. I heard them beginning, and I was like, "This." Or I get food and I come back for Electric Callboy.
That's no excuse.
It's a perfect excuse. So Japanese style karage, and I came back just in time for Electric Callboy.
Just imagine like he would have walked out of Baby Metal because he's hungry.
I'd have been a bit fucked up to go to Foxfest. It's like,
Yeah,
these are
well,
great.
Polyphia
Forget
was
about
one
the
of
last
the
band.
groups that was there. It's exactly similar.
Wait, how is that your margin? They were one of the groups who were there. So I
You
was
talked about
hungry.
pre-bands and how much you don't like people walking out of pre-bands, and then you walk out of the actual
Hey,
band.
I needed to pick some time to eat, so I had to
Before the
sacrifice
concert.
something. It was a festival, smart ass. It was
Before
long.
the beginning of the festival.
To be fair, in Howard's defense of that, if there was one band that I would probably go and get some food for, it would probably be Polyphia. And
There we go. All right. And on that,
I will give him that.
Thank you guys. My last East to the East episode.
Remember to keep your ear to wherever Polyphia isn't.
All right, okay. I backed you up, but that doesn't mean you
At
take
least you
the
know
piss.
Howard's not there then.
I got nothing against Polyphia. I just gotta get another
I know,
reputation.
but I still
for
have
this.
to rub it in.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, yeah, thanks guys. Remember to keep your ears to the
Again.
east.
And let's get over 1,000 subscribers as well. Come on, let's do it. See you guys later.
Bye bye.